Alright guys, so we're finally back and doing something. It's been a week or two, at least 2 weeks since we've really done anything. We've had all kinds of issues here, and so we haven't really been able to do any working on anything, magnet fishing, trucks. We haven't been able to do nothing. I think the last post we had was that short we done where I was showing you the van where it was having issues, where we was going camping. But anyways, like a whole mess of stuff happened, and we haven't been able to do anything. So, but I did get a message from a person that asked me. I thought this trimmer got stolen because we got. It's been a while, but this person, I think it's Nuker. I think it's an NUWK3R. It's like 3 days ago they sent me a message asking about this old Snapper trimmer, and this is one of them. It's a Snapper S31SST. Straight shaft. This one I believe is clutchless. It's an older unit, 2002 I believe. 2002, 32cc, and we didn't have a chance to really do a whole lot with it. We messed with it last time because it was dark out, it was raining, and so we gave it a shot to see if it'd run. It'd run off of starting fluid and die. Well, I was trying to start and die. So my son, I thought for sure, because we had someone while we was gone, got in the shed, ransacked it, and we came back and there was like stuff laying everywhere. Some trimmers were gone. Thankfully, a lot of the trimmers that were gone were just old and beat up that I used for parts, and they looked complete. So obviously they didn't know any better, but underneath all that stuff, my son did find this one. I thought for sure it was gone, but that's why there was never a part 2. But he found it, and so we're going to try to get it running. And so we didn't mess with the carb or anything with it last time, but you can definitely tell it's been set. I looked at that video, it was like a year ago. And so it needs cleaned. All the plates need cleaned up. I'm going to replace the primer on it. And I believe last time we done fuel lines on it. I think all we done last time was the fuel lines. But the plastic definitely some wear and tear from sitting out there. Even the cover almost looks like mold in it, so I'm going to clean these up. The lines we replaced on the tank, they're all still flexible and everything, they're all still good. And the carb, I popped the top off where the small screen is. Everything's clean. Took the bottom off, and which one is it? This one. The diaphragm is like rock hard, doesn't really want to move. So I found one of the carbs. I bought this carb new, and I can't remember what it was for. It was a long time ago, and never used it. But the diaphragm that's in it is almost identical to the one in this Snapper, and it fits. So we're going to try to use it. So I'm hoping maybe that was part of one of the problems, and they're really easy to change. And all you got is, oh, get it lined up. There we go. All you got is your 4 little screws. It has this one, just has the one adjustment on it, so it just has a notch in it. Your plate have an arm that bends, it just goes in it. 4 Phillips screws. Get those back in there. And the carb itself, because the inside of the carb, everything looks good and clean, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. And hang on to it. So I'm hoping it'll run. Says, I'm sure you guys probably seen those videos of the trimmers I got from my son. It's been a while, but it was from Walmart brand. What are they called? Hyper Tough. Finally starting to have some issues with them, but granted, he's had them for a couple seasons, and they do get worked. Yeah, I mean worked. And 'cause there's a gentleman I do work for on the side besides my regular job, and 2 trimmers out of his place is 2 hours worth of work. So they, you know, each time they're out there, it's a 2-hour beat down, straight beat down. The only time they shut off is to refuel them. So at some point, I'll get them down here because one of them's not wanting to run. So we'll check it out and see what diagnose it. But anyway, so that takes care of this carburetor. It looks clean on the inside. I guess I can show you real quick. This won't take but a second, so I'll show you how clean the top is. So you can see how it's all just like brand new. Even with your screen, if I can get a good enough angle, here's your screen. It helps catch all the fine debris to go down in it. It's spotless. So I mean, the whole carb's clean. So I'm hoping that this will take care of the issue. I don't know if I can get it back on right. There we go. It'd be nice. I'd like to have another gasket though, because this one's like, I mean, kind of stiff, so that might be an issue. I don't know for sure yet, but if we have to, we can either try to dig up a replacement carb or at least a rebuild kit, because I have ran into that in the past with a couple older weed eaters. You couldn't get the replacement carb, but they did offer a gasket kit. So yep, everything moves. Alright, so takes care of that. So what we'll do, and also I found an air filter that hopefully will work. This was not bad, it's just awful dusty, and if I have to, I'll use it. So I'm going to go up, get these cleaned up, and we'll come back down and start throwing it all back together, and we'll see if it runs. Alright, here we go. Got everything cleaned up, much better. So there's our old primer. It ain't like terribly bad or cracked or anything like that, but since we're this far into it, I'll go ahead and drop a new one in it. These ones, they only go, just out here only goes one way. You have the 2 clips, you got a notch. This is the same way. You got the 2 spots for the clips, and you got one for a notch, so it just goes in just like that. Just give it a push, clips right in. You got this one's case. Sometimes you'll see them where they're the same length. This one has a long one and a short one. The short one is the intake for the ball. You can put your finger over it, pump it. You can hear it. See if you guys can hear that. You remove your finger, you can hear it whistle to where it's pulling air in. So that is the intake for the carb right here, this short tube. So this is where it draws the fuel in through the carburetor to prime the system. So that will go into the short tube. This one's case, you have the cable that runs around, so you want to make sure, if I can get it in there on it to where you can see it, that cable is in its right position before you tighten everything down. So you can see where it comes over the plastic, and then you want to make sure if there's a spot over here where it goes also, so it'll set just like that when it's done. So you want to make sure you have it all the way over, because I've done it myself. It'll have a tab, it'll be underneath it, and your throttle's dead. So you just want to make sure that it's over it like it should be. But you get that. These ones are a little bit more of a, not necessarily a pain in the butt to work with. It's just your carb and everything is just, it's like behind everything, so it makes it a little bit more irritating. Just don't get discouraged. It's really not that bad. Some of them, it's easier to take your tank off. You just want to make sure which one is your main fuel line, which one goes to your primer. Just look inside if you've already replaced them. Like the skinny one right here is for our primer. The big one is our main fuel line, so easy enough. That's why I always tell people before you tear into them, if you can get it to where you can get a good picture, if you're not too confident, just use your phone or something, just take a picture of your fuel line routings, if you're possible. Take a picture of them where they're at on the carb, and because sometimes you get them, the fuel lines are the same diameter. So just take a picture of the routing of your fuel lines, so when you go to put it all back together, you know for sure. You can go back, look, it's like, all right, well, this is the main line, this is primer line, or however it works for you. This one's tank. This thing's so small. This thing is dinky. It sets up in there like that, and So get our carb. Figure out. So the bad part about it is it sets behind this cover like this, so it makes it not necessarily difficult, as I was saying, just a little bit more irritating to mess with, just because of your lines. And so we get our tank. This big one is the main fuel line, so it goes on the bottom. Here we go. So it takes care of that one. And you got your plate that the carb sets behind. And the bad part about this is I'm still going to go ahead and try to start it, but it's, as far as I know, it requires a gasket, and there was no gasket on it when I took it off. I'd like to have a gasket to put on it. I don't have one, so we're going to see what happens. And so we get that up in there. It's a little hard to do with the tank hooked up like that, but we'll bear with it. Alright, so we get our, yeah, we're going to take all this off. See, it's, so I was talking about, just don't let it irritate you. So we get our primer hooked up. Hopefully it stays hooked up. Don't forget about your choke lever. Goes through the little hole. It's a crazy design, actually. I mean, it's, these guys that work on them all the time, it's probably not a big issue, but for somebody that never messes with them, it can get, you know, something like this can get frustrating. Alright, so we got that. And the other little line will go up here on the primer. It'll suck, it'll pull the fuel or the return. So it'll pull through the carb, into the ball, pump it back into the tank. And then your main fuel line down here. So I'm thinking hopefully we can just get, see if we can get our main fuel line hooked up. And once the tank's in place, we should be able to hook up the other. And you got this one's case, it has 2 holes. This one goes on, sets like this, so it'll be on the bottom hole. You might actually, I don't know, I should have looked, because you might actually be able to access all of it with the tank after you have your carb installed, possibly. That's what I mean. You can't see nothing with the tank there. You cannot see anything to line it up. So we're just going to go ahead and pop that tank out of the way. Got our cable lined up, and this takes the long screws. See if we can get one of them started here. Takes care of that one. The short screws are for your tank if you decide to take it off. Alright, cable's over. So I'm hoping we'll be able to access that line to get it on the primer. This is a 5/32 Allen wrench. Now, technical foot-pounds of pressure, I honestly do not know. I'm just tightening them up tight to where I feel comfortable with it. Alright, and see, I already screwed up. Fuel line I have pinched, if you guys can see it, just so you don't run into this problem. I have it behind the cover, so it's pinching it. So, loosen it back up. This way you don't want to rush. There's just enough slack to get our line up out of there. There we go. So now we'll tighten her up. So I have a video out there where we was working on a, I think it was a Poland chainsaw that someone, they said to replace the fuel lines in it, could not get it to run. Got it for like $10 or $15, brought it home, opened it up, and they had the same problem when they put the lines in. Then it had a hole that goes down through. They tightened everything up, pinched the line, so they was not getting any fuel. easy fix for me. Kind of felt bad for them. So now we got to wrestle this down onto that tab on the primer. So good old trusty pair of hemostats, and it's going. So it probably wouldn't hurt, make it a little easier for you if you had some two-cycle oil mix. You could probably put just like a dab on that primer, just wipe it around before you put it in there, and you go to put your line on it. Probably would help it slide in a little easier. It's going. There we go. That should be good enough. Make sure the line's all screwed up there. Check them. Yep, everything looks good. So this one's case, it's got 2 access holes to get to your tank. Not much room down here. So there's 2 access holes for these 2 screws that'll drop down in. It should be easy enough. The one problem I do have with this one, with these ones, it does not like how this one has the rounded tip on it compared to flat tip. It doesn't like them too much. But it'll get the job done. And if you have the regular style, I would use it. Well, have it that long anyway. Hopefully we don't drop one of them. I really do. So this thing, take your time. Try not to be in a hurry. Wish I could get you guys in here for a better view, but not too much I can really do about that. Got one started. With the washers on them, you got to kind of lift the tank a little bit right here. If it's in there, lift the tank up so it's got to drop like over the black plastic. So we get up just a little bit, we can drop behind it and then shove your tank back down. Line your hole up. Tighten her down. Takes care of that one. Come out there. Alright, so we'll get this one. Come on. There we go. Takes care of that one. So fuel lines are already replaced last video. So there we go. New primer. It's ready to rock and roll. It has a new filter in it, new lines, new primer. So we changed the diaphragm. Hopefully that helps. So you just want to check your throttle. If you look down on the side, since there's nothing there to obstruct it, you can see down where your linkage and the cable and everything hook up. Work your throttle, make sure you got everything moving there. Check the choke. Make sure it works like it should. You don't want to get anything to where it's non-working before you get aggravated and trying to start it and nothing works. You have to take it back apart. Been there. So now that leaves. See if we can get this filter to, it's not the correct filter for it, but I'm pretty sure that it'll work. Yeah, it's better than no filter. And it's worked, it's not strained, so it's good. This one has it's like the hook and latch type style. This part, it has a bar in the back, it just goes in, then it has a tab right here where it latches. You can see the bars right here. It just goes up underneath it like that. It's like it's kind of like hinges on it. closes and locks in place, just like that. So that part's good to go. So I guess all we need is fuel. Let's see if she'll start. This one's a nice one too. I mean, it's a straight shaft. Kind of sucks that it doesn't have a clutch, but at least if it does, it's stuck. Because you pull that string, the head spins. So usually, if you pull the string, the head spins. They're clutchless. But it's a decent one. It's got a nice shoulder strap on it. Pretty decent trimmer. So hopefully, this will take care of it. We'll get it out there, get some fuel in it, see what we got. All right, here we go. Just got done putting fuel in it. It's not primed up yet. Getting fuel. 2, 3, 4. It's about 4 pumps. Full choke. On. Oh, do a half choke. See if she fires up. Try full choke again. Make sure I don't have a blockage. It's hard to tell how long it's been since this thing's actually ran on its own. I think last time I got it to fire up with ether. Granted, I might have it flooded. Bro. Alright, try a different approach. I think I might have it flooded out. Alright, so here's the dilemma. This carb is definitely shot. The needle's not seating. Even with, I tried to change the plug out. And I went in, got the tool, swapped the plug, but when I came back out, everything was fuel soaked. So you can see here where I got this little stick, this is all, if it's picking it up, all fuel. So the needle's not seating, fuel is running out of the carb, so it's definitely going to need a replacement. But you want to pull on it? You want to pull on it?
I'll try it.
Try it, see if it'll start. I couldn't get it to start, but I'm pretty sure the needle's not seating on it. It's definitely clutchless, so.
You sure?
Yeah, it's clutchless, that's why the engine's yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so we'll have to get a... Here, go ahead and pull it real hard a couple times. It's trying. You can see where it just sucked all the fuel back in. But you sit here and watch it and it'll start bleeding out. The needle's not closing. So it's either find a rebuild kit, or you can see there, you see the fuel dripping down. Either find a rebuild kit or a whole carb kit. Preferably a whole carb kit. So I guess it'll be a part 3 for this one. Hey guys, thanks for watching.